All right, y'all. This is another week of college football, week 8, top 10. This is another week of great, fantastic football that has been played. And it was a very good and exciting week of college football. Now, today, like every Sunday, I'm going to be giving my top 10 who I feel is the top 10 teams in the country this week. This week was a very exciting week, just like all these weeks has been very highly competitive games, and then you had games that was blowouts and some just wasn't competitive. But for the most part, there was some very good games in the SEC, in the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the ACC, and other conferences like the MAC and other Group of Five schools. Very good games this week. Now, one of the biggest games of this week was Oregon versus Ohio State. And it lived up to the billing of the best game of the week. Although it was some other good games also in the same week. But you can bank on that game as being the best game of the week. Now, the game that shocked a lot of people that they thought that was supposed to be a comeback, an easy game, was the Alabama game against South Carolina. Now, that almost was a game that was a scare for a minute. South Carolina almost had a chance to win the game or take it to overtime. So, man, Alabama is going to have to really check that defense also and get better. But Penn State goes on the road all the way across to the West Coast and get a win against USC. So by doing that, that pretty much almost seals the deal with USC in making a college football playoff, 12-team college football playoff. So I don't know, but I don't see too many three-loss teams getting into the college football playoff. I almost think that USC losses probably would eliminate them. After this loss, they probably would be eliminated because of the other two losses. Now, I'm losing to Penn State. They probably would get a benefit of the doubt because Penn State is a top 5 team right now. I pretty much think Penn State probably would stay in the top 10. So, but I still say that the other two losses probably eliminated USC from the 12-team playoff. So then we'll probably have to go back to the drawing board next season. But still, USC can just build on this season and get better for next season. So I'm not going to go through all the games this week. Them was just some of the games I just wanted to touch on, highlighted games that would impact the 12-team college football playoff. But for now, it impacts where teams would go in the top 10. So some of these teams like LSU, Tennessee, had close wins and losses. So this is the reason why this week I'm going to teams that was in my top 10 last week or was at a certain level last week is going to change because, like I say, every week my top 10 changes week to week. I don't just keep the same top 10. I drop a team or rise a team according to what they did on the field that week. Because I feel it's justified to look at the games. If not, just at least at best, try to look at the highlights and slow it down and break down some of that also before you make your top 10. So I do all of that. I consider everything so I can have a fair top 10. And I don't do just like the AP and the Coaches Bowl, just make a top 25, a top 10, top 25 based off all blue bloods and just popular teams. No. because it could be a team that wasn't good for years, but they're really playing good this season. It's all about the team. It's not about what team did what 1998 or 1950. No, it's about what team is doing this year, right now, this season, 2024. And I feel that what impacts on how I rank these teams in my top 10. So I want everybody out there, if you haven't already, hit that like button. Also, subscribe. Subscribe helps me get to more viewers like you, because I love college football. Week to week is so fun. And I want a lot more college football fans out there that haven't heard me give my top 10 and other projects that I do. I would like for you to share this video, make a comment, and push the like button, and also subscribe to my channel. I really would appreciate that a whole lot from all you college football fans out there. So right now, get into the comment section. I want to get comments from people out there who they think. I put down who you guys think is the number one team in the country. If you think your team is number one, put it in the comment section. Also, if when I show my top 10, and if your team is not on there, or if you think your team should be higher or another team should be lower, put it in the comment section. Yeah, let your voice be heard. Hype up your and brag about your school. So, like I said, this week was a very good week of college football, man. Some exciting finishes and outcomes. And next week is not going to be no different. It's every week now going forward is going to be a lot on the line. And now I say in a couple of weeks, the college football committee is going to start ranking them, and not the AP and the coaches poll, but the college football committee. So it's really going to start getting serious, because their votes, their ranking is the one that really, really matters and really, really counts over anybody else. So yeah, all these teams out there that is trying to get a college football spot, you got to step your games up. Got to come out there every week and bring it. So before I give you guys my top 10, I just want to touch on one thing. I just want to tell you guys one thing out there about the Oregon-Ohio State game. I just want to say, if you guys, even if you don't have a stake in the game between both of the teams, if you from, SEC or the Big 12 or the ACC, it doesn't matter. Like, I just want you to really, really, because this was a big game this week. So really, really go back in your game with your team. After a game, it'd be emotional. Everybody get emotional, especially after a loss, even after a win of your team. But sometimes going back and get second, third looks of the team's, performances, if you go back, you could just see that it wasn't bad as you thought, and it wasn't good as you thought. But that's all I would say. And I want to say, with this Ohio State-Oregon game, by me going back and looking at the highlights again and just looking at the game again, I can tell you that although the coaches poll and the AP poll might have Ohio State at 3 and 4, I still say that Ohio State is either 1 or 2 the best team in the country. And you might say, oh, Oregon beat them, but going back and looking at the game, yeah, Oregon beat them, but it wasn't like Oregon just outright just up and down the field through all 4 quarters beat them. No, Oregon had to get some big plays, a couple of big big explosive plays in a trick play on special teams and some calls that went their way in key games that stopped a field goal and drive. It wasn't like they just totally went out there at home and dominated Ohio State. No. What Ohio State showed me today is that no matter what stadium that they play in, no matter they said Austin was a loud stadium, but it didn't affect Ohio State's offense that much because it couldn't have. If they put up 31 points, how could you say that their crowd affected Ohio State all the way? No, it might have a little bit, but that's just a small, tiny bit. Maybe a few false starts here and there, but that don't show me that Ohio State is not a very explosive team. And what I've seen out of Ohio State is a very functionable offense and very scary. So they might have took an L this time, but don't sleep on Ohio State. I'm telling you, everybody out there in college football, just focusing on your teams, rightfully so. But you gotta keep an eye on these Buckeyes. I'm telling you, y'all haven't seen everything that they can do after these 6 weeks. I'm telling you, what I seen, how they went to Oregon in a hostile environment and still was functionable, still was driving and moving the ball down the field consistently to all 4 quarters. I'm telling you, their offense is going to even get better. If they did that against this Oregon defense in this type of environment, they're really, man, it's going to be hard for any team in the playoff coming in the rest of the season to really stop this team. Their offense is elite. And although the defense in certain plays had some bad moments in this game and gave us some explosive shots, for the most part, they really did good on the defensive end against Oregon. It wasn't like Oregon was just going up and down the field, getting drives like regular drives. They had to get explosive play just to be able to stick in there with Ohio State. So that's all I want everybody to do instead of just being so emotional. If you don't like Ohio State or don't like another team, just this overreaction. This happens every year, and I understand you're going to do it, but that don't mean it's right. Breathe, pause, and really just, take a step back and really look at these teams in a second time before you just overreact. So that's just my take on it. I feel Ohio State is still, I'm still bullish on them being the number 1 team in the country. Because I don't believe even Texas can consistently do what Oregon did. They might can, but on a consistent basis, I don't think so. And I think that Ohio State can do the same thing they did with Oregon's defense to Texas defense or anybody else's. That's why I still have Ohio State in a high regard. But for the purpose of who beat who and who's undefeated and who has 1 loss, okay, it's lightweight understandable that you might drop Ohio State down, especially if they lost to Oregon. So right now, fresh, you still probably would put Oregon lightly ahead. But I just still say that Ohio State is really, really a dominant team, and everybody's still going to see this. So without further ado, I'm going to give you guys my top 10. Try to hold it up so you can see it better. If everybody out there can see, I'm trying to get it where you guys can see my top 10. And you can see every week my top 10, you can see it switches up according to, like I said, how you play on the field. So everybody out there, this is my top 10. Hold on, get it back now so everybody can see. All the way from Oregon. I have Oregon as my number 1 team. Texas, number 2. Ohio say 3 and on down, Penn State, Clemson, Miami, on down, Notre Dame. Yes, I got in there, in Indiana is in my top 10. So I'm going to finish up, ladies in college football, ladies and gentlemen, and college football fans out there for this week. I'm just now looking at my top 10. I know you've seen that I had Indiana in my top 10. Yes. I had them number 9. And I feel that they had a bye week this week. And I feel that the team that they play, for the most part, they handled these teams. They blew them out or comfortably won against these teams. So why shouldn't Indiana be in the top 10? I know the AP got them in the top 25, like outside the top 20. Inside the top 20. But I have them in my top 10. And why not? They earned it on the field. And what I was saying before I showed you my top 10, I was saying about some of the teams like Indiana. Yes, they deserve to be in the top 10. Why not? They became bowl eligible last week, won 6 games. A lot of teams that got big time name bowl blue bloods not even bowl eligible yet. So credit to Indiana, they're bowl eligible. And congratulations to all the other teams out there that is bowl eligible. So that's what I have for you this week. That was my top 10. I'm gonna show it to you one last time. And I do this every Sunday, everybody, all you college football fans out there. I want you to chime in, join me as I share my top 10 with you. And I want you to comment on who you think is your top 10. Now, here's my top 10. One last time, I'm going to show you one quick look at it. If you can see. Okay, that's my top 10 for this week, man. Week number 8, 2024 season. So, like I said, you got to be fair to all the teams, even the Boise States of the world. You got to be fair. Why? Because Indiana last year before, no, they deserve to be in the top 10. How could you have Alabama ahead of Indiana when they almost lost yesterday? And they lost, although it's a lot of good competitive teams in the SEC, but still, that don't give them the AP voters the right to just overlook some of the other teams that's been balling this season. So that's why I have them in my top 10. And yes, I'm bringing Notre Dame back, as y'all can see in my top 10 in Clemson. Clemson, Notre Dame has been playing some good football since their first losses of the season, like in week 1 and week 2, week 3. So all these teams are getting better and better because it's hard to gauge a team at the start of the season because teams get better, they progress better on the football field week to week. So that's all I got for you this week. So I'll talk to you next week. And everybody out there, y'all have a good week. Be safe. And we can chime in next time. But like I said, I need for everybody out there that has a number 1 team, go ahead and give me your number 1 team. Go ahead. If you agree with my top 10, let me know in the comment section. If you disagree with my top 10, let me know in the comment section. And put who you think is the number 1 team, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, top 10. Give me your top 10. Who you think, lead bragging rights, who you think has the best conference still? Do everybody still say the SEC? Or now do they say the Big Ten? Or is the Big 12 on the uprise? Or is the ACC? Leave it in your comment section. Who y'all think has the best conference? Who y'all think has the best team out of y'all conference? Who y'all think has the best team overall in all of college football this right now in the season. So everybody out there, y'all have a good one. Talk to you next week.